Hello and welcome to Cosmic Tile Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. Today we're playing Sonalyst Combat Systems Fleet Command, an operational level naval combat simulator. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And if you want to show your support with a donation, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this campaign, Oil and Water, we look at a series of fictional naval operations undertaken by America and its allies in the Middle East, in the alternate 1990s world of Fleet Command. In this scenario, no-fly zone, US forces conduct no-fly zone patrols in northern Iraq. In the last episode, US air forces operating from a NATO airbase in Turkey enforced the no-fly zone over Iraq, downing 4 Iraqi aircraft. Aircraft from a US carrier battle group destroyed a coastal surface air missile site, and 3 strike packages are heading east over Syria. In this episode, US air forces must continue to enforce the no-fly zone, identify and destroy any Iraqi SAM sites, and destroy the Syrian airbase used by the Iraqi Air Force. A suspect hostile aircraft is about to cross the 36th parallel. It is being jammed by the Prowler. But still out of AMRAAM range. Now that it has crossed the 36th parallel, it has violated the no-fly zone and is a target. Meanwhile, an F-16 lands at the NATO airbase.
Killing track 8477, will do, out. Missile away, track, emergency emitter, bearing 18, bearing, will do.
The enemy fires first with an AA-10 Alamo. The F-15 engages with an AMRAAM, then turns away. This is the AA-10 Alamo air-to-air missile.
Splash track 8477.
Hit! The AMRAAM splashes a Su-27 Flanker B. It crashes over the desert.
Affirmative, out.
Another F-16 lands at the NATO airbase. As an F-15 Strike Eagle taxis to the runway and prepares to take off. The carrier strike packages now make their moves on the first of the ground contacts. Strike Package 1, just north of the 36th parallel. Strike Package 2, out in front moving to the southeast.
Affirmative, out.
And Strike Package 3 in the centre, south of the 36th parallel.
Can do, roger, out.
Another bogey detected taking off from the Syrian airbase.
Classified track 8460, will do, roger, out. Identify track 8461, roger, out. Roger, out.
The Prowler jams.
Identify track 8484, can do, out. Returning to home plate, affirmative, out.
The F-15 moves to intercept.
Roger. Identify track 8484. Out. Roger.
A fresh F-15 moves into the combat area to intercept.
Can do. Out.
The suspect hostile aircraft is still south of the 36th parallel, and the F-15 turns and heads north.
Can do. Roger. Out.
The red dot under the contact indicates it is being jammed.
Will do. Out.
The F-15 will turn and attack if it crosses the no-fly zone. The aircraft crosses the no-fly zone, and the F-15 turns to engage with AMRAAM.
Engage track 8484. Affirmative. Merged away. Track 8484.
The F-15 turns away.
Can do. Out. Affirmative. Kill track 8484.
Hit! The AMRAAM splashes a Su-27 Flanker B. It crashes into farmland.
Can do. Roger. Out.
So far, the US Air Force has been successful in enforcing the no-fly zone.
Will do. Out.
Now, it is time to conduct the SAM trap operation.
Will do. Roger. Out.
The E-2 Hawkeye increases altitude to improve radar coverage. Various aircraft now move in to classify ground targets.
Classify track 8460. Will do. Roger. Out. Classify track 8461. Will do.
The NATO airbase orders the next F-15 Strike Eagle to launch for air superiority,
Cleared for immediate takeoff. Wilco. Out.
and starts to launch the first of the F-16 Fighting Falcons that will conduct airstrikes.
You are cleared for takeoff. Affirmative. Out. Can do. VID track 8464. Will do. Out.
Let's speed up time.
Will do. Out. Can do.
The Prowler from Strike Package 3 starts to jam the first ground contact. The Prowler from Strike Package 1 moves to identify.
Proceeding to base. Can do. Roger. Out.
The ground contact is surrounded by civilian buildings, so an accurate identification is important.
Identify track 8458. Will do.
A SAM site identified.
Roger. Roger, out.
And a chemical plant suspected of manufacturing chemical weapons.
Roger.
Both hostile targets.
Can do, out. Roger, out.
The first strike package moves north.
Proceeding to base, out.
Attention turns to identifying the second set of ground contacts.
Identify track 8461. Can do, out. Roger, out.
The Prowler transmits target locations to the Arleigh Burke.
Taking track 8458. Roger, out. Weapon away. Track 8458.
Arleigh Burke engages with a Tomahawk land attack missile. First, the chemical weapons plant, and the SAM site.
Engaging track 8460. Roger. Missile away. Track 8460. Will do, out.
The Tomcats from Strike Package 2 move to identify the suspected airbase.
VID track 8464. Can do, out. To base. Can do. ID track 8461. Can do.
The Prowler from the NATO airbase moves in to identify the second ground contact.
Proceed to base. Can do. Roger, out. Affirmative, out. Return to base. Roger.
The Prowler has identified the contact as a SAM site and returns to base. Meanwhile, an F-15 Strike Eagle lands at the NATO airbase. And the first of the F-16 Fighting Falcons taxis to the runway to take off.
Roger.
The Tomcats from Strike Package 2 identify the suspected airbase. It is confirmed as a military airbase suitable for engagement.
Proceed to base. Can do. Roger, out. Returning to base. Out.
Strike Package 2 returns to base. It is a long flight back to the Eisenhower. Arleigh Burke now engages the second SAM site.
Kill track 8461. Will do. Missile away. Track 8461.
And the enemy airbase.
Take track 8464. Will do. Roger, out. Missile away. Track 8464.
And a second strike on the airbase.
Take track 8464. Will do. Roger, out. Missile away. Track 8464.
The Prowler returns to the airbase. An F-15 Strike Eagle takes up a combat air patrol position.
Roger, out. Will do. Roger, out.
The NATO airbase orders another EA-6B Prowler to prepare to take off.
Permission granted to taxi to the active runway and take off. Affirmative.
And two more F-16s are in the pattern.
Permission granted to taxi to the active runway and take off. Can do, out. Returning to home plate, can do.
Proceeding to base. Will do.
Strike Package 3 returns to base. Strike Package 1 takes over the suppression mission to cover the Tomahawk strike.
Roger, out. Will do.
Two more unidentified contacts to the east.
Affirmative.
Can do, out.
Two F-15 Strike Eagles move to combat air patrol positions to enforce the no-fly zone.
Roger, out.
Eisenhower orders another Prowler to launch,
Get those aircraft airborne. Affirmative, out.
and two Tomcats.
Get those aircraft airborne, out.
Strike Package 4. The Prowler at the NATO airbase taxis to the runway.
Affirmative, out.
The F-16s have taken off and moved south.
Can do, Roger, out.
The Prowler continues to jam as the Tomahawks close the SAM site and chemical plant.
Can do.
The Prowler takes off from the NATO airbase.
Can do.
And moves to jam the second SAM site. The Tomahawks close their targets. Jamming has done its job, and the surface-to-air missile does not launch. An F-15 Strike Eagle comes into land.
Kill track 8460.
The SAM site and chemical weapons plant are destroyed. The chemical weapons plant burns fiercely, destroying the weapons without affecting the nearby civilian infrastructure. The Prowler from Strike Package 4 reaches the flight deck. And taxis into position at the catapult.
Affirmative, out.
The Prowler from Strike Package 1 moves east to reacquire and jam the SAM site as the Tomahawk moves in. The first Tomcat from Strike Package 4 reaches the flight deck. And taxis into position at the catapult. This is a good time to pause the action for now and come back to the operation in the next episode. In this episode, US Air Forces operating from a NATO airbase in Turkey continued to enforce the no-fly zone over Iraq, downing 2 more Iraqi aircraft. Aircraft from a US carrier battle group positively identified 2 SAM sites, a chemical weapons plant, and a hostile airport. And Ali Burke launched Tomahawks, destroying a SAM site and the chemical weapons plant. In the next episode, US Air Forces must continue to enforce the no-fly zone and destroy the remaining SAM sites and the Syrian airbase used by the Iraqi Air Force. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.